You're listening to the Personal Development Through Martial Arts podcast, the podcast where the world's highest personal development experts and martial arts masters come together to empower and inspire you to become your strongest self and live the life that you truly want. Join host Bogdan, Rosu, author, public speaker, and the founder of the first personal development through martial arts school in the world, in the podcast where you become the hero. My next guest is a best-selling author, ranked top 100 entrepreneur by the White House, and has achieved the status of millionaire before the age of 24. I'm very excited to sit down and talk to Jason Capital about money, freedom, and being your true self. We're here with Jason Capital. Jason, for the people who don't really know your story and don't know much about you, tell us a bit about, how you started out. Like, what age did you enter into the business world?
Sure, man. Well, today a lot of people know me as the $1 million expert. What I do is I help businesses who are making 10, 20, 30K a month, and I help them scale up to 100K a month as fast as possible. That's what I do now. How am I qualified to even do that? Because that's kind of a big claim. I started when I was 20 years old, college student. Went to 4 colleges in 4 years. I was one of those people where growing up, I always was like, school, it's not for me. This feels very much like a square peg in a round hole. And I'm like a triangle. So if that geometry doesn't make sense at all, right? It just wasn't for me. It didn't fit. So I go to one college, doesn't work. Go to another one, doesn't work. And I skip class. I find I have so much more fun just playing basketball or hanging out with my friends, or just doing the things I wanted, not what they wanted me to do in school.
I'm sure that everybody listening in just loved school and they said, oh my God, I want to do this forever.
Well, there are some people who are like, they go to school for life. Like they get a degree and then they're like, well, real world, that sounds scary. Let me get another degree. And then another and another. And then they hit 42 and they got, they got 6 degrees. It's like that old Kanye West song where he's like, you know what? I may not have a job, but I got my degrees to keep me warm at night. Right. So at 20, 4 schools, 4 years, I'm 1 year away from the so-called real world. I know I don't want a cubicle. I don't want a boss. I know that's not for me, but I don't know what I want to do. And I start searching online. I'm like, well, maybe I can make money from the internet. And I hear about this thing called internet marketing and like email marketing and courses and products and all this stuff. And it made no sense to me, but I was like, oh, but it seems like an avenue to make money. And there's a big online marketing conference called the Underground Online Marketing Seminar by a marketing legend named Yannick Silver. And 3,000 people attend this conference every year. And I see they're giving away 10 scholarships to 10 young entrepreneurs. And you have to be under the age of 25. I'm 20. I'm like, well, I'll give it a shot. Why not? So I apply. And I don't hear anything back. And it's a week before the event. I haven't heard anything back. I'm assuming, okay, it didn't work, whatever, I'll keep going. And I get an email from the event organizer saying, hey, so check it out. I got bad news and good news. Bad news, you were not one of the people selected for the 10 scholarships. The good news is, however, is that number 10, she's from Pakistan. Her government won't let her come. Would you like to take her spot? You're number 11. And I'm like, fuck yes, I want to come. Let's do it. So I go to this event, and I remember sitting up there at the front row because all the scholarship winners got like a front row table, and I'm listening to these internet marketers talk about SEO and analytics, and I have no freaking clue what they're doing. And I'm already starting to say to myself, you know what? This is too overwhelming. I'm just going to stay here this weekend and pretend that I understand it, and I'm going to go home, and I'll probably end up having to get a real job because it's not going to work. This was 2009. No, this was 2010. Excuse me, 2010. Was the year. It was in Washington D.C. So I'm already like literally I'm an hour into this event and I'm already deciding it's overwhelming. Like I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you start into something new and you're excited about it, and then you like the book gets opened and you see how hard it actually is, and you start to get scared, or you start to get hesitant, or you start to run away because it looks hard. And that was me. So I like during the break I like bolt out in the hallway. I'm like, I want to get away from it. And there's this guy there who sees me kind of doing this, and he ropes me back in and he sits me down on a couch and he writes out a business plan for me. And he's like, just do this. He goes, this shit, don't worry about this analytics stuff. Just do this and you will make money. And that man's name was Craig Ballantyne. And Craig was my first mentor. He's
Yeah.
well known today. He's a publisher of Early to Rise magazine, author, amazing guy. So I take his little, he like wrote it on like a piece of paper. It's like crumpled up. I put it in my pocket. I take it back to my dorm room in Michigan State, and I just do what he says, right? Do what the mentor tells you. And I started making about $15,000 or $20,000 a month immediately. Immediately, it was instant. I did a product launch, was the very first thing I ever did, and it was instant. We sold a bunch of stuff, and a bunch of people started getting on a $47 a month recurring course that I created,
Hmm.
and that was how I got started. Right, I literally, there was no like, let's start slowly and build. I just hit six figures right away
I'm really
to start.
curious to ask you, like, what was the product and how did you choose it? How did you know what, I'm gonna try this instead of anything else?
Yeah. So one of the things that I was talking about with Craig was he was like, well, you need a course, you need something to sell. I played basketball in college. I had trained players my whole life. I trained myself from a kid who was cut from the team in eighth grade to getting recruited to play college basketball. So I knew how to do that. And he was like, we can productize this, and you're just going to put it on videos and in an ebook so anyone around the world can access your training.
Hmm.
Great. I got it, Craig. I'll do that. So that was what it was called. It was called Effective Ball Handling was the name of the program. It taught people how to dribble a basketball better. So I think the website's probably still online. I've since sold that business, but I'm sure anyone listening could probably go find that. And that was it. There was no marketing plan. There was no avatar. I didn't have a full marketing plan. Like, here's their fears and frustrations. Here's what keeps my prospect up at night. Here,
Hmm.
I didn't have all the marketing stuff that you're supposed to do. What I had was I'd spent my entire teenage years and 19, 20. I'd spent many years just in the gym every day with players. So I knew what they needed to hear. I knew what their
Hmm.
frustrations were. I
Hmm.
knew what their wants were. I knew about the marketplace because I was one of them. And if anyone's listening right now and you're looking to build your business or do anything online, they say things like know your prospect. Like, that's not just a
Hmm.
phrase. You truly need to know them, and frankly, it's better if you know them better than they know themselves. That's really how deep you have to get with your marketing if you want it to be immediately successful.
And it's even better if you become your prospect. If you're not your prospect yet, it's very wise to start becoming that person.
I see. I would disagree with that.
Mm.
I'm like, I don't. I'm very much about people. I don't. Here's the thing. I may be taking what you just said out of context, right? I'm very much
Mm.
about people being the most real, raw, authentic version of themselves.
Yeah.
So even like if you're selling coffee makers to people and you don't like coffee, like don't mind fuck yourself into thinking you like coffee. So you got to try every coffee out there so you can know everything about them, right? Like, I'm saying, like, if you're not going to become them, spend a load of time around them. Like, really
Hmm.
listen to them, ask them questions, hang out at Starbucks and every other coffee shop that there is. Go to the Nespresso stores, buy this stuff. Like, go to the Facebook groups, go to the Amazon review sections, go to the Instagram pages. Like,
Hmm.
know everything about them, and don't just hold it in your head. Put it down in some type of organized little frameworks that you use to really um, understand about them. Because the most powerful thing in marketing and in sales isn't about having a good presentation. It's not about being able to use better psychological triggers and quote Robert
Hmm.
Cialdini's book better than anyone. That's not what it's about. It's about being able to describe your prospects problems better than they can themselves, and the only way that you can do that is if you understand where they're at and what they're going through better than they do themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was referring to basically is like when you want to level up, it's a very good idea to start thinking about these guys. If you want to serve a different type of market, like for example, you started out serving basketball players, right? Or people who
Yeah.
are super enthusiastic about basketball. But I'm sure that you had to go through some changes to start serving entrepreneurs.
Well, I, what I'm saying is when I changed from serving, let's say, basketball players or my dating clients to helping entrepreneurs, uh, I've been an entrepreneur the whole time,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
It
definitely.
wasn't about something becoming. There's a lot of man, dude. I'm sure you see them. There's so many ads out there and people out there selling stuff that they don't actually live, that they don't actually do, that they don't actually teach, or they don't actually know themselves. I and I mean, I don't know where this is going, but I think that there's a secret to marketing on the internet right now, especially in social media and everywhere, that people are ignoring, and it's just called
Hmm.
authenticity.
Yeah,
Me
definitely.
and one of my buddies, we have a saying that we go, everything is content. right? Because
Mhm.
people think if I'm going to make a sales video, I'm going to post a video of this. I have to look good. My car has to be a Lamborghini, or I have to have a beach behind me, or all this stuff. And really get out of the shower. Your hair looks messed up. You're in a towel. Make your video then. I assure you, the authenticity of it will overpower any type of passive status triggers that you may have been
Mm.
able to embed in the video otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, Tell us a bit more about that. For people who are starting out in their businesses, what do you feel like? How do you help people who are starting out to get a good foundation in business? Because everybody talks about content, but what I found, for example, in my business, that it's super important who you do that content for as well. Because if you're marketing to people who are not really that ambitious, who are not really in the position to say, you know what, I'm going to change, right? I'm going to do something with my life, then you're really struggling a lot in your business, right? So until what I really enjoyed about your marketing is that you're really specific with the business owners that you want to work with. You said um, people who are making 30 or 40 grand a month, right? And they want to scale up to 1 million, right? So you're being super, super specific
Yes.
on the people that you're helping. Something that I learned from Dan Locke was that he said, I don't turn losers, I don't make winners out of losers. I just help winners win more, right? So
Hmm.
what would you say would be a wise process for people starting out in business?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, one of the things I used to say when I was doing my dating coaching was I don't teach guys who are threes and fours and turn them into nines and tens. I take guys who are already eights and I turn them into nines and tens,
Yeah.
right? And it's not bad, it's not worse. It's specific. It's what you said. It's the exact right word. It's specific. When I think about someone starting a business foundation, the two big things I always think about is business model and targeting, right? What's the
Mm-hmm.
model and who are we targeting?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start with targeting first. So yes, like for me, like when we started this podcast, the very first thing I said, I did that on purpose because I know if someone's listening right now, I want their antenna to go up and be like, oh, this is going to be for me. I specifically said if you're making 10, 20, or 30K a month, and you want to get to 100K a month, $1 million mark, that's what I do. And I'm very specific. And I didn't have to make a big bold claim that sounded like bullshit. I didn't have to shout it. I just said it in a normal voice. Most people think marketing is let me shout the promise louder and louder and louder. But when you
Mm-hmm.
get your targeting right, and actually
You
you're
don't
just kind
have
of
to.
whispering in your prospect's ear. Yeah, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
whisper in their ear, and they go, that's for me, right? So how do you get clear about your targeting? Really just take a piece of paper, draw 3 columns next to each other, and then at the top of these 3 columns, write who are 3 potential groups of people that I think I could target. And the way we always think about targeting is the niche is the what and the who, right? Like who are you going to be helping and what is the problem that you're going to be solving? And you're looking for some combination of these two. I could go deeper with my targeting and I could say I help female entrepreneurs who are making 10 and 20 a month and want to get to 100. That would be even more targeted. And if you were a female listening to this, your antennas would have gone up even more for
Mm-hmm.
what I just said. Right. So you pick up the three. So we have 3 columns, and at the top, 3 potential groups of people that you think you would like to help. And then under each of those 3, ask yourself these 3 questions, right? Can I help them solve their problem? Make sure you have a yes to that one. The
Mm-hmm.
second one, do I like them? Can I see myself
Mm.
working with them for the
Yeah,
next 10
that's
years?
super
I
important.
know, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know
Yep.
a lot of people who make a lot of my friends making millions of dollars a year and they're fucking miserable
Yeah, they
because
hate
they
their
hate their
lives.
clients,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Totally,
Yep.
totally. So that's the second. And then the third, so it's can I help them? Do I like them? And the third one, can they pay? Right?
Yeah.
Can they pay? Because you don't want to get into a niche. You know, you don't want to get into a niche where you're selling like how to make money courses to broke people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're broke. They want to make money, but they're
They're
not gonna be
broke.
able to pay for it because they're broke. Yeah, that's why you see marketing out there. You see headlines out there that are like how to make 6 figures from your laptop even if you're broke. And then the person's like, no one can afford my course, and I don't know why.
Exactly.
Well, look at who
Yeah.
you're targeting. Your
Yeah.
headline your headline is pushing away people with money and it is calling out to only people with no money. You're doing your marketing all wrong. So that's targeting, right? We got to get that right. And the second one is model, right? So what is the actual business model? What is the ascension that we're taking this through? Dan Kennedy, who's one of my marketing mentors, I'm sure you're familiar with the great legendary Dan Kennedy. he taught this thing called the ascension model for many years,
Mm-hmm.
where it's an ascension model. So you get someone in and you get them something for like a low barrier offer, something
Yeah.
nice and cheap. And then you sell them the next thing, a little bit more expensive. And then you
Yeah.
sell them the next thing, a little bit more expensive. Then you sell them the next thing. This is really expensive. And the next thing, this is, oh my God, expensive. And then you sell them the next thing, which is, holy fuck, are you kidding me? That's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep moving them up the ladder. I think Dan Kennedy is wrong.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think
think so too.
Yeah,
I do it the other way around.
Yeah. Good. I'm really glad to hear that, because I do it the other way around too.
Exactly.
And I found it works way
much
better, man. Yeah.
It's much better.
It's so much better. And so what I recommend is have something, don't have your front end be $5 or $10 or $20. Have it be free. Have your front end be free,
Mm-hmm.
and have it be epic.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Have it be transformational. Yeah. Have it. Yeah. And then just bump them right up to the expensive thing.
Yeah.
They're ready to go.
Because
trust is built much faster on the internet today. So
and this is something that I learned also from my marketing mentor. And he said, look, just talk to somebody who can afford you. Talk to somebody and show them your high-end product first. And talk to them, give them the one-on-one coaching first, because, or, something that's super high-end, because they're going to benefit a lot more from that. You're going to get them the result faster. And if they say, look, that's awesome, that's great, I want to do it, but I can't afford it, they say, okay, go, no problem, I have this group coaching or something else, right? So you still have an opportunity to make some money off that phone call, off that sales call. And to all the martial arts masters and teachers who are listening in right now, guys, learn this aspect. Talk to people, get people to train with you one-on-one, and then get them into your group coaching. Yeah. So I got excited.
Totally, man. Totally. And it's exactly right. And if anyone's listening, you will be able to make a lot of money a lot faster if you do what we just said here.
Absolutely. Have you ever trained martial arts?
0.
Mm. Awesome.
0. Yeah. I've thought about it many times.
What would be one martial art that you would try?
The Bruce Lee one, for sure.
Kendo. Mm-hmm. Man, that's funny that you
it'd either be that.
It's funny that you say that, because I'm actually teaching his initial martial art, the one that he picked up in China when he was living there. Yeah. And Jeet Kune Do is pretty fun. And you probably got inspired to train Jeet Kune Do because Dan keeps talking about it.
Well, frankly is Bruce Lee. My whole thing, Bruce Lee is amazing. If it was good enough for Bruce Lee, it's definitely good enough for me. That's how I think about it. Yeah. The other one that is intriguing to me is Wing Chun. And I don't know how similar or dissimilar that is.
That's exactly what I'm teaching.
But it's the same thing.
It's what I teach. I teach Wing Chun.
That is awesome, man. Let's talk right after this podcast. I want to learn more about that.
Definitely.
Because the only reason I know about it is because my hero, Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, lives Wing Chun, and he credits it for changing his life. Yeah.
You seen that Oprah interview, right? Where he was talking about how much it helped him overcome his situation. Yeah, absolutely. And I see that all the time with my students. People who even people who thought of killing themselves. They come to training and it just completely changes their lives. Absolutely. Yeah, that's funny. It's funny you say that.
It's so cool. That's what you do, man. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. Cool, man. So tell us a bit more about your plans, right? Because I know that Dan spilled the beans that you chose the name Jason Capital, right? How was Jason Capital born?
Well, in a hospital with my mother. What do you mean specifically?
Because Tony Robbins once said that, Tony Robbins, I created this motherfucker, right? So
sure.
What I'm asking, how did you decide on who you wanted to be? Like, how did you dream up that you said that, you know what, I want my life to be like that, because this is important to me, this is important to me, and this is important to me. And that's what I want it to be about.
Totally, man. Yeah. So I think the Tony Robbins quote is very apropos. I feel as though I created this person here as well. It started because in my early 20s, man, I was very unsuccessful with the opposite sex. Very, very unsuccessful. Did not know how to talk to them. Was very shy around them.
I never had that problem.
Couldn't be my real self around them. Yeah, totally. No guy ever does, right? Uh, and that's how I felt. So uh, my mission it wasn't about who do I want to be to start. It was who do I need to be in order
Hmm.
to attract the women that I want. And this
Yeah.
is something a lot of guys do is they put who their real personality. Let's set that aside for a moment, and let's just project a personality and a character type that the most attractive women are just going to be helplessly attracted to. And that's what I did for many years. And I got very, very good at that, but I also felt very, very empty inside because I continually ignored who I really was in favor of who other people wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I made a decision where I was like, I'm done being anything but myself, and my highest value is authenticity, being the
Hmm.
most raw, authentic version of myself, and showing up big everywhere I go. And that's what I do. That you said like what's important to me. Authenticity is incredibly important to me. Freedom is incredibly important to me. I need to be able to wake up each morning and be able to ask myself, what would I like to do today? And if I can't do the answer to that question, something's fucked up. Something needs to
Yeah.
change. So that's really important to me. And then the third one is fun. I have to have fun doing what I'm doing. We in my team here in Newport Beach, we had a new project manager who we brought on, and she's like balls to the wall. Like she walks around the office. Is that done? Is that done? Like we need to get everything done. And I love that kind of tenacity. We need that in our project manager. But she was so intense on deadlines that it sucked the fun out of everything for everybody.
Mm.
Everyone now is just like, now it's just boring, tedious work, and I got all this pressure on me. And I had to tell her, I was like, listen, getting shit done is really important, and we're always going to get shit done on deadlines because that's who we are. But if we don't have fun along the way, then it doesn't matter what we get done because the end result will
Yeah.
suffer, right? The work always suffers if we're not having fun when we're creating it. Like this podcast, when we're talking
100%.
right now, like this is fun. If this wasn't if this wasn't a fun conversation, I wouldn't be doing it, and you wouldn't be doing it, right? We do this because it's fun. So authenticity, freedom, and fun are three of the most important things for me at this point in my life.
Fun actually is starting to become a more important in my component in my life quite recently. And today I wrote, like, next to my to-do list, I wrote the question, how am I going to have fun? And it's funny because the top of my list was, how am I going to have fun? Instagram lives. How am I going to have fun? Podcast interview. How am I going to have fun? Write something cool for my communities. Like shit, I'm actually enjoying this stuff. It's like, and it's, to me, it's crazy. It's soul sucking. Have you ever, did you work like in a job? Like, have you had that experience, or did you just like jump into entrepreneurship?
I had one job for 2 weeks. It doesn't count.
Dude, I was
Yeah.
fired. I was fired from my first ever job, and it was an internship. They were not paying me, and after 3 months, they said, you can go home. Like, yeah, yeah. And
Why'd
it's
they
like,
say that, in your opinion?
man, I was a horrible employee. I was like horrible, horrible. To me, like,
Good for you.
it took so much to accept this fact about myself, that if I'm not into something 100%, then I'm not in, right? And it was a huge struggle for myself because I was trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole. Yeah, and I see a lot of people who are trying to do that. They're trying to be something else just to have a paycheck by the end of the month, right? And that's crazy to me. Yeah. Um, Jason,
Totally.
what is one question that people don't really ask you and you'd like to be asked more?
Oh, wow. Um, man, that's a first of all, that is a damn good question right there. You know what's interesting is I don't know if I want to be asked about it, but I very rarely get asked about like my day to day. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone wants to know about, like, they want to know about the big money stuff and the cars and the trips and the big events. but no one cares like what's happening Wednesday at like 3:15 p.m. Just
What's
normal.
happening Wednesday on 3:15 p.m., Jason?
Dude, at Wednesday 3:15 p.m. I'm probably I'm coaching a client for sure. Actually, you know what? I take that back. So here's how my schedule is set up. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. That's when I'm working with clients. That's when I coach them. Wednesdays, I don't work. And this was I recently instituted this like 3 weeks ago now. So this is new, but it's amazing for me so far. Wednesdays are my flow days, is what I call them. Where I wake up Wednesday, there's nothing on my schedule. My assistant and my team know not to put anything there on Wednesday. And I wake up and I really say, what do I want to do today? And with the first thing that comes to mind, I do it. And then I just continue with that kind of free flow, that carefreeness throughout the day. And just wherever it leads me, it leads me. But one, it's really fun. As you know, it's important to me. And it's super recharging just to be in the middle of the week when everyone else is working, to just be completely, like, overwhelmingly free on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds really, really awesome. And did you notice that, like, when you actually
and it's not I was just gonna say, it's not, if anyone listening is like, it's not out of reach for you. Just take a look at all the activities you're doing first, sort through them and go, which ones do I really not need to be doing anymore? Because I guarantee you're doing, get rid of those. And then the other stuff, just put more stuff on your Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Like, go a little bit harder on those days to buy yourself an entire 24 hours of freedom. Totally worth it and totally doable.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the interview. I'll let you get back to it as soon as I ask you this question. Are you making 5 to 7 grand in your business? And would you like to be making 10 grand, or better yet, would you like me to personally show you how you can easily make 10 grand in your business without putting in more hours? Awesome. All you have to do is connect with me on social media, on Instagram or Facebook. You have links in the description, because I'm giving away 10 free business breakthrough sessions to the first 10 entrepreneurs who take advantage of this offer and contact me. So all you have to do is follow me on Instagram or connect with me on Facebook, and just send me a direct message with the text business breakthrough. And I'll show you exactly how you can scale to 10 grand a month without working more hours.
And do you notice, like, when you allow yourself or you set up the intention that, you know what, today's going to be about flow. I mean, I just want things to flow, and I want to flow, right? This is, we're already talking about what Bruce Lee said, like, be like water, right? Did you notice that you're having, like, better ideas, or you're becoming a lot more creative, and you're coming up with solutions to stuff, like, from different angles that you didn't see before?
Completely. Yeah. And that's why I did it. I didn't do it because I was overworked. I did it because if I wake up and every day we're just doing tasks, and I get this done, get this done, get this done, there's no space for reflection and perspective, and for us to mix and mold our lives and our businesses the ways that we want to. So yeah, totally. When I'm flowing on those days, that's when all these great ideas are allowed to they're finally allowed to bubble up, and I can see them. It's a lot like I like psychedelics, and I mess around with them sometimes in small doses, just to play around with them, to get new ideas for my businesses and my relationships and stuff. And the same ideas that come up then are the same ideas that kind of come up even when I'm just if 6 days a week I'm zigging, that one day a week where I'm just totally zagging, doing everything different environments, different activities, different movements, different breathing patterns, different everything. The ideas are constantly coming up, just like you said.
Definitely. Did you try ayahuasca yet?
Not yet. I've not tried that. A lot of my friends have, and as you know, it's like the in thing to do now.
Yeah, exactly. It's becoming more and more popular.
I have no plans. Yeah, I have no plans to do it, but almost everything else besides that, I probably dabbled in.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. So, tell us a bit more about your day. Like, what does your day usually look like? Like, besides talking to martial arts maniacs on the other side of the planet, how do you start your day?
Uh, so I wake up at 6:30 every day. A lot of my friends wake up earlier than me. Craig Valentine wakes up at like 3:45 a.m. or something, like something crazy.
Whoa.
I don't. 6:30 is good enough for me. Yeah. So I wake up. My thing is, I used to have these long morning rituals, and frankly, they would cause more anxiety than anything else because you're
Mhm.
like, I just lost an hour, and now I'm behind on the day because your
Yeah.
morning ritual is so long. So my morning ritual is 6 minutes. I wake up. I drink a full thing of water, like the 9.9 negative ionized pH healthy thing, whatever it's called. I do that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I go and I do bioenergetics for 5 minutes. So it's usually, Elliot Holst is a good friend of mine, so he kind of set me up with a bioenergetic stool,
Okay.
which
How does that work,
is
bioenergetic?
basically a thing that I keep in my meditation room, and I go in there and I
Mhm.
all kinds of deep. Have you ever heard of it before?
Not really. It's not. I heard of bioenergy, but I'm not exactly familiar with the actual ritual of bioenergetics.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, if you're into that kind of stuff, dude, you're gonna have a very fun next couple of days on YouTube. Uh, Bioenergetics it's basically a type of body therapy. So
Right.
the creators of it, and again, I'm not an expert on it, so I'm gonna do my best. But the creators of it kind of felt that most of the therapies out there were all brain stuff, addictions, thought patterns, things like that, and they're trying to solve these brain problems with more talking about it, right? And Einstein
Hmm.
said you can't solve problems at the level that they were created. So
Right.
if your problem is thoughts, how are we going to solve it by thinking more? Right? The old rule is if the problem is in the head, solution's in the body. The solution's in the body. If the problem's in the body, then the solution's in the head. So if you've got a head thing,
That's
go to
very
your body to
that's
fix it.
very
Right?
good. That's very
So
good. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
yeah. So bioenergetics it's a large swath of different exercises that you do, all kinds of shaking and convulsing and breathing and kicking and screaming and grunting and very
Yeah.
primal stuff. But it's incredible. You all kinds of trapped joy and anger and sadness. They are
Comes out.
trapped in our bodies, and
Mm-hmm.
bioenergetics kind of erupts them and releases them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll do it, and you will start laughing hysterically, and you won't know why. Or you might start crying, and you won't know why. Or you might get angrier, red hot smoke out of your ears than you've ever been, and you don't know why. But it's incredible. That's why I do it every day.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I actually had a student who's currently teaching TRE, which is very similar to that. It involves a lot of shaking, and for everyone listening in, it's usually a release of emotions that you have piled up inside your body and they're not really expressed. Is that accurate? Is that what you're referring to?
Totally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
culture in this society where emotions are not allowed to be expressed at the wrong times. You can't
Yeah.
get angry at your boss. You can't punch someone when they piss you off. So we're constantly pushing these emotions in, and they literally get trapped in
Yeah.
the musculature and the soft tissues of our body, and they have to be released one way or another. And that's exactly what bioenergetics does.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I love what you said. Like, if the problem's in the head, then you have to solve it in the body, and if it's in the body, you have to solve it in the head. Guys, take this and note it, write it down somewhere where you see it. That's actually the reason why I decided to create my martial arts my martial arts school the way I did. Right. I created the first personal development through martial arts school because I realized that you're not going to learn confidence by talking about it, right? So what you get in a personal development seminar or scenario is great, but you keep it in your head. You don't do it with your body. And what martial arts was missing was this idea of, okay, now you're stronger. Now you have more courage. But what do you do with it, right? So nobody teaches you how to level up in your business. Nobody teaches you how to improve your communication skills, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's fascinating. That's cool. That's cool that you mentioned that. Hmm.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome. So
Awesome.
I know that tomorrow you're teaching email marketing to your students, right? Or actually tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, a few
Right?
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about that. You know, how do you keep email marketing relevant in 2018 for everybody? Because I'm sure that a lot of people are still using email marketing. Open rates are a lot lower than they used to be. How do you turn that into an advantage rather than a disadvantage.
Totally, man. Yeah. Well, the first thing is we have to realize that email marketing has changed. There's this 900-pound gorilla in the room called social media, and
Hmm.
that has impacted everything else. And email marketing has changed. So that's the first thing. The second thing is not a bad thing. What's changed? The first thing, and I don't want to go too deep into the metrics of it here, but it's not that open rates are down. People are still opening emails as much as they ever were. It's that most likely your emails or the person listening, their emails are not getting through to that person's inbox.
Hmm.
So email has changed, but deliverability has changed also. Deliverability standards have changed. So there's certain things that you can do and certain things you need to do to make sure that your emails are going to be hitting the primary tab of your prospect, your customers' inbox. If you can do those things, your open rates will go back up to where you want to do. Our open rates are usually just under 30% now, which is actually higher than they were 3 or 5 years ago.
Right.
So get your deliverability fixed is the first thing. The second part that's changed is most of your email readers are reading on mobile. They're not reading on an iPad or a laptop or a desktop. They're on their phone reading it. And
Yes.
because of that, you need to respect the medium. Right? You need to respect the phone and respect the fact that it's a small screen. I used to write these 2,000 word emails every day that were like mini products of their own. And I used to
Yeah.
love writing them. And then at some point they stopped, the engagement went down and the money made went down off of them, even though the emails were just as good. And I'm sitting there wondering why, what is it? It's because everyone's on mobile and no one's going to read 2,000 word email on their phone. It's just not going to happen. Um, so the second thing is shorter is much better. I would keep your emails lower than 100 words. Uh, and I would if you're selling over email, keep your email short, under 100 words, and let the landing page do the selling for you. Whether it's a video or sales copy or something like that, let the landing page do the work for you. Don't sell an email. Email to me now is all about building trust and getting the click. Those two things.
Mm.
Continue to build trust and reinforce trust and get the click. And again, let the landing page do the work for you. Uh,
I really enjoyed your video on building trust, and you were sharing, you were touching upon what we discussed already on being authentic and sharing a lot more of what you're doing, like stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think is important, small stuff. Like, oh, I actually tripped on my way out today, or some crazy stuff like that. How do you, how do people get or build more trust over social media and email?
Yeah, so to build more trust in social media and email, you have to do, at least for me, what's very uncomfortable. At least it was at first, which is start sharing the stuff that you don't want to share. Right. So
Mhm.
like a really good exercise to do right now is make a list of the top 10 things you don't want your audience to know about you. And then over the next 10 days, share each one of those things. Like that would be a really good way to start building trust. Just to start you getting more comfortable sharing all of you instead of parts of you. Right. I believe that anything that we feel we have to hide from someone else, we have shame around that thing. And the only way to stop having shame around that thing is to open up and share it publicly, right? Because now we're not hiding it anymore. So
Mhm.
that's a really good way to start. And the reason is the saying goes, disclosure is disarming. The more you disclose about yourself, not just the things that you think are good, but all the stuff, warts and all, that's what's going to create more trust, connection, and bonding with your audience. So like for me, I share like random stuff about like I'm drinking this juice. I'm taking my dogs for a walk. I just had the best smoothie of my life. This is the worst mango I've ever had. Things that are like pointless, but they're just things about your day-to-day life that people care about. And it's weird because you think to build trust, it's like I got to get a certification and a degree
Yeah,
and
exactly.
credentials, and I need a white lab coat, and I need a Lamborghini, and then that's not going to do it anymore, right? It's about being as real as fuck, like just be real as fuck about everything, and you will be amazed at how much more trust you have, and even more importantly, how much more attracted your audience is to you because now you're being more polarizing as you're more authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I noticed, at least in my school, oh, and by the way, I have nothing to hide, right? I didn't have like 10 things already thinking of that I don't want people to know, right? No, nothing to hide. No, definitely. But seriously, I have a lot of stuff, and that you're
Sure.
giving me a lot more clarity on that message. But what I noticed when I was teaching, that when I stepped out of this personality of, oh my God, I'm the instructor and the teacher, I have to have all the answers. And once I started sharing with my students that, look, I don't know everything. If somebody punches me really hard, they will knock me out cold, right? And it's normal, it's natural, right? You're not going to be perfect. People started to connect with me on a much deeper level, right? And that's very powerful, when you're being honest and you're being vulnerable with people.
Totally. Idealization. You're a
Mm.
real person who can actually get punched in the face just like anybody else. Oh, it's a real person. I can connect with that person.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and I tell all my customers, my clients, the same thing. I tell them, listen, yeah, I don't know everything. I will say I don't know when I don't know, because there are things I don't know. And just like you, I'm a student for life. Right? That's my whole mentality. I'm a student for life. I am always learning. I'm always improving. There's a few things I've done that you haven't yet, and I can help you with those. But
Hmm.
like don't put a halo on me and assume I have the answers to the world. No one does. Right? All the best answers are inside you. They're not inside me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's a mark of a great coach. I noticed that. Somebody who helps you find your own answers. Awesome.
Yes.
Jason,
Yeah.
we're getting ready to wrap up. What is one question that you'd like to ask the audience?
Ask you or to ask the audience?
To ask the audience.
Perfect. Yeah, you know what? Let's go with what we were just talking about. So I'll make it easy for them. What are what are three things that you don't want your audience to know, or your friends or your family? What are three things you don't want them to know? List them out and then share them. Tell somebody. Tell everybody, right? But do that, because the bond and the trust you'll create with those people will be so much stronger. You'll be so much more relaxed because you're carrying so much less, and you'll strengthen yourself to realize, hey, people like me for me, not just for the good parts I show, but for everything about me, the light, the dark, and everything in between.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that ties into what you were saying when it comes to dating. When you decide to just be yourself and to attract the people who actually make sense to be in your life because you're being authentic, and you're showing people, look, this is who I am and this is who I am not. You're just going to end up being happier, and you're going to be attracting more people who will be the right fit for you. Mm. Awesome,
Totally,
awesome.
totally. And you know what? I need to add here about that. Guys are like, I can't get girls. What should I do? And the girl's like, well, just be yourself, right? And the problem is, most guys, they don't know who they are. When you tell them
Yeah,
be yourself, they don't know who the fuck that is.
yeah,
They have no idea. They are an amalgamation of the expectations and comments parents, teachers, and friends have said about them for the first 20, 30, 40 years of their life. They don't know who they are. So you have to go on this journey within yourself to find out what are your preferences, what do you dislike, what are your values, what are not your values, and once you start getting clear on that, then and only then is be yourself the best advice. Period.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. For me personally, the biggest change in that sense, because I was talking to my girlfriend, right? I was telling her that, I was saying in my 20s that I want to build my business, but it wasn't true because in my free time, all that I was doing was chasing women. And the more you chase something, the more elusive it becomes, right? So
For sure.
when I said, enough of this, and I started meditating, I started looking inside, and I started to do exactly what you said, like getting to know myself and being happy with who I was. All the techniques didn't matter because, it just happened naturally, and people were coming to me rather than me chasing people and chasing the results. Did you find the same thing in business?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The people out there who are marketers and salespeople who are constantly uh, they're like, like it'd be, for instance, an example would be, I never work on Wednesdays. And then they get an opportunity to pitch some big CEO on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. and they break the rule for the CEO,
Mm,
right? That's an example of that. And that's low status and that's weak, right?
yeah,
And the person who's like, that's fine, let's just refine it. We'll wait 2 weeks, we'll schedule on their date. They're more carefree, they're more nonchalant, they're more detached. And they have integrity because their rule is I don't work on Wednesdays, and they actually live by that rule. They're an
yeah,
entity, they're strong, uh, and that's so much more attractive, and it is pervasive in all anything that involves humans in some type of human to human interaction. What we're talking about here is effective. no matter what.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, so let us know in the comments, what are the top 3 things that you did not share with your close ones, and you would like to create a stronger bond. And go ahead and follow Jason. Jason, where's the best place where people can get in touch with you?
Man. So at Jason Capital is my name, and if you hit the type that we talked about before, shoot me a DM. I'll see if I can help you out.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you'll definitely find links in the description of this interview. And yeah, guys, go ahead and follow Jason. Definitely go for his coaching program. And we'll see you guys next time. Jason, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
Hey, thanks for listening in. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, and if you're ready to scale your business from 5 or 7K a month to 10K a month, go ahead and connect with me on social media, on Facebook or Instagram. The links are in the description. And send me a direct message with the text business breakthrough. I am giving away 10 business breakthrough sessions to the first entrepreneurs who get in touch with me and ask for these coaching sessions. So go ahead and connect with me and send me a DM. I'll see what I can do to level up your business so that you reach 10K without having to work more hours.